Hey everybody! Before we start today's episode, I would like to remind you that I recently started a gaming review channel. You can find the link to that channel in the description down below. It is labeled Konoha Reviews. On that channel, I review games, both old and new, and you can even request certain reviews by commenting on the videos on there. Please check it out, and if you like what you see, please consider subscribing and supporting me on that channel. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Planet ARK, the final episode of Season 1, where we mostly have focused on different areas around the Ark Center. Last time we left off as we explored the cold tundras that stood at the base of the snowlands, with peaks ever reaching towards the skies. Though many different creatures roam the tundras, it is quite different in the actual snow. Besides the obvious cold that is an issue for many animals, the primary reason for not seeing much life here is the lack of food. A lack of berries or plants to eat keeps many herbivores away, which in turn keeps the carnivores away. One might get lucky and see a mammoth or two here or there. Thanks to their trunks, they are able to search for fallen nuts or other edibles covered beneath the snow. It is still not enough to maintain a proper diet for the huge animal, but the safety of the environment does lure some here from time to time. The snowy peaks do end rather abruptly, which can be really dangerous, especially during a snowstorm. The drop is really steep and is responsible for the death of many a lost animal. But over here, one can stumble upon one of the rarer animals that can be found on Planet ARK. And it is an animal that is not bothered by the cold temperature of the ground, nor the lack of food found around here. The Quetzalcoatlus, or Quetzal for short, is one of the largest flying creatures that can be found throughout. From afar, it can be mistaken for a pteranodon, as its build is quite similar. It is known to nest on the absolute highest peaks, much higher than any other avian. This explains why the Quetzal was encountered here at the Snowland Peaks, though it is somewhat peculiar, as one might imagine that the low temperature might be rather disadvantageous for nesting. Due to its giant wingspan and power, it can easily travel with a few flaps, not exerting large amounts of energy. Though the snowlands themselves provide little to no food, the ocean is close enough to where the Quetzal can head on over and look for tasty snacks under the water. It is bound to keep its hunting location to the ocean, as ironically its personality is rather skittish. One would expect a giant of this size to be rather feisty or aggressive, but more often than not, it would choose to flee when a predator was near. And thus the snowlands, in and of themselves, don't have much to offer us at their highest peaks. They loom over each and every one of us, as life continues all around them. But if one were to look towards the south, one were to see a mysterious looking iceberg floating in a giant lake. It seemed that the snowlands have more interesting secrets to offer, and as one made its approach towards that area, green came back into the scenery as the environment slowly transformed back into the tundra. The sightings of animals here were quite familiar, with mammoths, dire wolves, and woolly rhinos. It became ever so apparent that the peace and quiet provided high on top of the snowy peaks only lasted there, since blood flowed freely once more. In some ways, this area of the tundra seemed even more dangerous than the coast. At least the coastal area did not have any enemies emerge from the water side, meaning there was always one side that the animals could consider safe. But this particular zone was far more lush, offering plants and berries not found near the waters, making it worthwhile for some of the herbivores to make the dangerous journey. The closer one would get to the ice, the calmer it seemed. In fact, it doesn't seem that dangerous at all, as a pair of Ankylosaurus seem rather peaceful and without any feeling of being threatened. The reason for this is that the area surrounding the ice belongs to a single Spinosaurus prowling about. But this Spinosaurus was not a real danger to the herbivores most of the time. Its diet consisted primarily from fish and other critters found in the water around the ice. Being that it had claimed this territory, without the threat of other predators of barging in, the Spinosaurus made a very calm impression throughout. Part of what was on the menu for the Spinosaurus happened to also live on the ice plateau. They were small, furry creatures that were difficult to spot from a far distance. But when one would get close to the ice, it became apparent that it was inhabited by dozens of penguins. Though the penguins themselves made it seem like they had no way of defending themselves, which in a way was true, they were very resilient to this cold climate. In fact, no other creature found on Planet ARK could survive temperatures like this, mainly due to their thick layer of blubber. Similar to the penguins back on Earth, they were very slow and waggly on land and ice. But in the water, they were way faster, thanks to their torpedo-like shape. In the water, they were able to escape the jaws of the Spinosaurus, but most of the penguins which ended up in the stomach of the giant dinosaur were caught on land where they simply could not outrun it. The Spinosaurus never came on the ice though, due to its narrow openings and areas, thus making the ice plateau a thriving place for the penguin population. Since this is the final episode, we will also briefly take a look at a never before seen area of the Ark's center. Not the actual center itself, but the sprawling landmass on the opposite side of the Scorched Island. Where the Scorched Island is a desolate place, which could literally be described as hell come to life, the redwoods on the opposite side was marked as a beautiful painting reaching all the way towards the Infinity Waterfalls. The giant treetops could be spotted from all the other islands in the vicinity, promising a very different ecosystem than the tropical one we are so used to. There was much to see. Besides just the forest area with trees, lush bushes, and creeks, there were caves and more to discover. On first glance, when one would walk through this area, one might not pick up on too much life. It seems very tranquil, not a threat in sight, and though dangers can certainly be found in this area, it is indeed safe to say that this place is a bit more peaceful compared to others like the tundra, the Scorched Island, and even the northern tropical island. Trees as tall as skyscrapers reach out as far as the eye can see, really also obscuring a lot of the view if one were up close. The trees were so large that if one were to fall over, it could create a natural bridge connecting different cliff sides. Being in such a forest that reached vertically this high, it would be expected that the creatures here are adapted to that environment as well. And indeed, one has to just look at their build and can see the expected outcome. One of the unique creatures that can be found here is the mammal Paraceratherium, that due to its lack of natural enemies because of its sheer size, is very docile. It is a very unique look, resembling a mixture of a horse, a rhino, and a giraffe. In general, these creatures can be found in savannas, where they have a clear overview of large trees they can feed from. They often move in herds and it is therefore rare to see them in the redwoods. But this one probably saw a unique opportunity in so much food being offered at the ready at its ideal height. Due to its size, it needs to constantly feed, making it all the easier that it doesn't have to fear but the biggest predators. Besides this friendly mammal, other dinosaurs can be spotted that share its big size. They can reach for the tops of many pine trees to get at the leaves that others cannot. It does make maneuvering through the thick vegetation a bit more of a challenge for these creatures. And were one to look closely, some real gems in terms of locations could be found throughout the redwoods as well, including beautiful, quaint waterfalls at the end of small creeks. At the base of these waterfalls, some more unique creatures could be found, in the form of the giant beavers. These busy workers are, of course as always, on the move as they often work together in packs or families to build dams or dens where they could live, breed, and hide in case of danger. The spot they chose here gave room and a good view of all sides, meaning that they had almost nothing to fear. All in all, one could indeed say that it was very peaceful here. But as mentioned before, there was certainly danger lurking, but it was not that aggressive. One of the predators that loomed about was the giant bear. But rather than being over-aggressive like some of the dinosaurs, the bear can actually be quite tranquil. Rather than just a carnivore, it is an omnivore, and eats things like nuts, berries, and more besides just meat. It basically eats whatever it can get its paws on, and will become more dangerous and aggressive when it has not fed for a while. They are also very territorial, meaning they will lash out at those who come too close, but mostly just to lead them away. It is because of this that in the vicinity, other bears cannot be found. And with that, we have come to the end of Season 1 of Planet ARK. We have seen many and varied ecosystems throughout, but there is so much more to learn and observe. I hope you all join me next time in Season 2 of Planet ARK, where we will head to new areas, including dark and mysterious caves, vast oceans, and scorching deserts. Hey everyone, and thank you so much for venturing on this journey with me during this unique series. I came up with the idea after asking people what kind of dinosaur type series they wanted to see besides the Jurassic World Evolution one. I was also asked to do a somewhat similar series with the game The Isle, but it was a bit more difficult to do that since that is a multiplayer game. I specifically wanted to do it in a nature style documentary where the creatures were the NPCs. Their movements were indeed a bit random at times, often moving around in circles, and it is true that if the creatures had been controlled by players, I could direct them more to do specific movements like drink water or hunt in a pack. But I preferred the approach of a Planet Earth style documentary where I get beautiful imagery and then record and narrate over it. It was very fun to do, and just the Unreal Engine 4 and the world that they created in ARK is gorgeous, and made me realize just once more how insanely beautiful this game is. Despite the fact that I was very happy with the series, I was a bit surprised though at first, since the episodes at first did not perform very well. It made me realize that though quite a few viewers asked for a more dinosaur type series, that the mainstream wasn't necessarily interested in this. The first two episodes barely made over 2,000 views when they first came out, though by now they have picked up some speed and the first episode is close to 20,000 views, so that's very good. I first was hesitant to make a Season 2, but seeing as the series got views over time, I decided to greenlight at least one more season of probably 5, maybe 6 episodes where we will take a closer look at some of the expansion worlds. I have both of the expansions. There are still many creatures and environments that we have not seen, and what I will also be doing a little bit different this time is that before Season 2 will start, is that I will have pre-recorded the first 2, 3, maybe even 4 episodes, so that there are not those long pauses in between the episodes, which will make everyone hopefully a lot happier. Once again, thank you all for the support that you have given this unique series on my channel, and I hope you will also support me on the other non-dinosaur related series in the future. For those loyal viewers who stuck around to the end of this video, I do have one final surprise, and that is that despite Season 1 being over, one more episode will be posted very soon, but it will not be in the way that you think it will be. Here you can get a short glimpse of what to expect, and maybe by the image you can already guess what the day this will be posted on. Thanks again so much, and see you all on the next series.